Kieran here again. I hope you're all good. This is a reply to Shlockofgod and his reply to my video against Propertarianism. Hi Shlockofgod, thank you so much for your reply video, and you are very kind in many of the things you said about me in that video. You're very respectful and very modest as well. There's absolutely no reason for you to be modest. You're doing great videos and stuff there. Okay, so cutting to the chase. You started off your video by like telling this story that goes something like each person clearly owns themselves and also owns their own body, and also a person owns any sort of intellectual property that they've created, and also people presumably own their actual physical property. Yeah, I haven't seen this Steph Bot audio or written book that you were talking about. I did have a quick look at it, but yeah, it's a long book, so didn't take the time to actually read it. But I have read a book called Anarchy, State and Utopia by Robert Nozick, and I'm quite familiar with videos and so on by libertarians, who I refer to as propertarians, if you don't mind me using that term. Yeah, so okay, you claim that this is just a factual story you're telling as kind of background. Fine. I mean, I agree that and in most law and in most societies, that each person has rights over themselves and has a kind of sphere of control over usually a building they live in and some bits and pieces that they have accumulated. And I think even in societies without laws, I would imagine we'd have an informal sense of, you don't grab the clothing off somebody else's back, or you don't violate some, go into someone's space or whatever. So I think we probably do have a reasonably innate sense of each person having a sphere of control over the physical world. But I mean, I think I disagree a little bit with some of the terminology and that you used. I'm probably more to the point. I don't see this as a kind of basic, as a kind of foundation to start building ethics on. I mean, some people, okay, you do get people who don't own any property, and you get some people who are even slaves. So, in a very sort of pretty real sense, they don't own themselves; someone else owns them. So some people, yeah, and some people own loads of stuff. Some people own nothing. So I don't know what. That doesn't seem to be as a good starting point to ethics to me. But some of these facts seem to be quite unfortunate. Also, like the idea of the term self-ownership just seems a little bit strange. I mean, I think I'd probably say you are yourself. I don't know if you really own yourself. I wouldn't necessarily say you own yourself. Yeah, I mean, you could say you own yourself. I don't know. It's a bit weird. And you say it's a violation to take obviously to kill or rape someone, but also to take their intellectual property or whatever. I mean, yeah, maybe. Anyway, I think the main point is the ethical sort of stuff. We seem to have some disagreements and agreements over basic ethics stuff. We disagree over. I mean, I'm a moral skeptic, as I said before, and you're a moral. I think they call them moral realists. You believe that there are moral facts, which are a bit like logical facts. The kind of facts that are true of the universe, or like mathematical facts. Whereas I think I see it more as a kind of made up thing, morality, which you can't prove or anything. Well, we do agree actually on the that I mean, although I see them as pretend facts, I do see these pretend moral facts as universal. It seems to me that morality has to be universal. It's hard to see it another way. Otherwise, you can't say to someone else they are wrong. I don't really get this kind of this idea that it might not be objective, this kind of subjectivist or whatever view. I've forgotten the name. They use another name for it, don't they? Anyway, each person having their own morality. I don't quite get that. Okay, so you also say it's morals are kind of optional. I totally agree with that. I mean, I tend to see the simplest way of thinking of morals is they are facts. I mean, pretend facts. And if you do something wrong, you can do what you like, but if you do something wrong, then that's not as good as doing something right. But nobody's telling you to do it. They don't really command. It seems simpler to just say they kind of pretend facts, as I say. So anyway, I think your main argument for this property rights morality is something to do with it's the only sort of system that could be universal. That is universal. People wouldn't contradict each other or something. I really don't understand that. I mean, I think just about any moral code could be universal. I mean, if somebody claimed it was moral or immoral to cut your hair on Friday or something, then that could be quite universal. I mean, I don't think there's going to be any contradiction there, or any rule like do as you would be done by, or the utilitarian principles. I mean, they're all kind of universal in the sense they can apply to everybody at all times without an obvious contradiction. So I don't quite understand your main argument there, if I got it right. Okay, so thanks for answering my two examples and appreciating my examples. Okay, first one, the magic lamp example, where Genie's telling you you have to violate one person in some way in order for cancer to be cured. I mean, I think I said a disease. You said cancer. Cancer's fine by me. So yeah, basically, oh yeah, your main objection is you said, well, probably the person would give their consent if they knew what was going on. So that's a sort of consent. But I could just modify the example, I think, and say, what if the genie specified it had to be this particular person, and this person we know he won't give his consent. He or she doesn't believe in genies, or believes cancer is going to be cured anyway, so they don't think that this being slapped in the face is anything to do with it, or maybe they just think cancer is God's will or something, and they don't want to mess with nature or something. Anyway, it could be a person just like that, so you haven't got the consent. So it seems that you're still committed to not slapping them in the face if violating people is the fundamentally wrong thing. You expanded on the example a bit. You said, so what if you had to, instead of slapping someone in the face, you had to like murder or rape someone? Yeah, it's more of a dilemma then, and but I don't want to dodge this example. Yeah, if I had to murder or rape someone to cure cancer, I think it would be worth doing that. It's not something I do lightly, but in the case of the sort of numbers and the severity of the affliction in that case, then I think that it would be justified to do that. Obviously, if you get into cases where the state starts murdering and raping people, luckily this is completely hypothetical, but if the state did start murdering and raping people, I think there is this an effect greater than the effect on the immediate victims. I think I've heard sociologists saying it kind of barbarizes the whole of society. Everybody starts becoming more scared and cynical, and like values life less if the state is like sanctioning killing of people, which it does actually. If you get the death penalty, you know the state is killing some innocent people, so it apparently has this barbarizing effect with the court. I don't know if they know this for sure, but the murder rate goes up and stuff if the state starts killing people. So, but even then, if the benefit was that great, I think it would be justified to do the really bad things to some innocent people. You bring up the example of Stalin. Yeah, he's a person who did really bad things. He could say, well, I did it. I was doing the utilitarian thing, and did it for the greater benefit. Like, for example, Stalin, I think, brought in a kind of welfare state or something. So I think it is historically true that Stalin did improve life expectancy dramatically in his country, even including these people he killed and so on. So, I mean, and in that example, let's say either Stalin was doing the right thing in utilitarian terms, in which case I would sort of applaud him. I'd say he did the right thing overall. I don't, by the way, historically, I don't quite see why Russians needed to murder people in order to agree to have a health service or something. So I don't see the argument historically. But okay, so if it was somehow true, you know, that he was right in utilitarian terms, I would have to say that was right. But if he's just misrepresenting the utilitarianism, you know, lying really, using utilitarianism as a fancy argument, then it's just one person misinterpreting on purpose utilitarianism. So I don't think you can use that as a criticism of utilitarianism. It's like with your moral theory, if somebody sort of justified something like really bad through doing it, through your system, then I don't see how that would be saying something bad about the system. It just more says something bad about the that person. So that's what I think about the Stalin thing. Okay, lastly, this toddler example, falling into a well. I think you got the wrong end of the stick slightly with that one. I was saying something different. I might have not expressed myself well. Basically, all I was saying, I wasn't saying that it would be an assault to grab the kid. I think it's a point actually. So maybe it does sort of say this, grabbing the kid's bad. But all I was saying is that grabbing the kid would not, not grabbing the kid would not be bad under your system. Basically, your system doesn't condemn leaving a kid to die. If you're claiming your moral system is the true moral system, then I'm picking a pretty clearly bad thing to do. Why isn't it condemning it? I mean, maybe your system's right, but you need some added major bit to it or you need something extra to condemn that act as wrong, I think. Anyway, I've been rambling a very long time as well. That's my style too. Okay, anyway, hope you like this response, Shlockofgod, and everybody else listening. I'll talk to you all soon. All the best.